the third part. In this part of strategies for enhancement in food production, we're going to talk about beekeeping and plant breeding. So a little of plant breeding and then we'll continue with plant breeding in the other videos. Okay. So first is beekeeping. So what is the rearing of honeybees? It's called as apiculture. Okay. So it's called as apiculture. So rearing of bees is called as apiculture. So why do you have to rear the honeybees? So you have to rear the honeybees for their honey production and bee wax production. So bee wax is used in a lot of ornamental fields. Okay, so honey is used for it's used as a food. Okay, it is edible. So honey and for the bee wax we actually rear the honeybees. So you have Apis indica, Apis dorsata, Apis mellifera. All these are the different species of honeybees. Okay, now we'll talk about what is the importance of rearing these honeybees, how you should actually rear the honeybees, and what are the steps and what are the strategies that has to be followed in order to rear the honeybees. Okay, so first you have to have a knowledge about the nature and habit of honeybees. For example, we all know that wherever there are angiosperms, that is the flowering plants, there are honeybees. So honeybees cannot rear in case of bryophytes, pteridophytes and gymnosperms. Particularly, they can be reared only when there is a lot of flowering plants beside them. Okay, so that's a very important technique. Okay, in order to rear a honeybees, at least in a meter, so maximum of at least 10-meter distance, there has to be flowering plants. Now next, suitable location. So suitable location is that you can't rear a honeybees in a forest region, in a much of the rural or much of the urban region, because there might be a possibility of the foreign honeybees coming and occupying it. Okay, but there are chances, though honeybees tend to build up their own honeycombs, there are possibilities of that. Next, handling of honeybees and bee wax. So you have to make sure that you do not contaminate by putting in your hands into the bee comb. Okay, what you have to do is you have to wear a clean gloves and you can collect these honeybees. I mean your bee wax. Okay. Next, we all know that bees are very important pollinators. Okay, they are the very important agents of cross pollination. So that is very important in case of cross pollination. So what is that? So just because there are honeycombs, honeybees you rear, it's a very easy good task that you cross pollinate your plant. So that is the added advantage of rearing the honeybees. So honeybees is for honey and bee wax, and first is that you have to look at the nature and the habitat. Next is you have to go in for the suitable location. Next you have to go in for the management, then for the handling of honeybees, and then at last is we all know that bees are very important pollinators. Alright, now next we will talk about fisheries. So fisheries is what rearing of the fish is called as fisheries. Okay, so next is blue revolution. So blue revolution is growing, rearing, breeding of those fish in a proper amount, and also breed and economically useful purposes we rear these fishes. So that is what it is called as fisheries. So fishes are of two important types, isn't it? One is a freshwater fish, and that is a pond water fish, lake water fish. The other is marine, okay, which is there in salt water. Okay, so now there are two types of fishes, fresh and marine. Now what is the major difference between an aquaculture and a sea culture? Though it sounds to be pisciculture, you have to pronounce it as sea culture. Okay, so what is the major difference between aquaculture and a sea culture? So aquaculture is the rearing of all the aquatic organisms. So when you rear all the aquatic organisms, it's called aquaculture. Sea culture is basically to deal with fish. So when you rear only the fish, that's called as sea culture. When you rear all the plants, for example, prawns, oyster, all of them is included in aquaculture. But in sea culture, only fish has been involved. Okay, so next, this is a very important topic, and this is the most important topic of the chapter, which is plant breeding. So plant breeding, we are actually moving on to the side of botany. So far we have been in the side of zoology, so we are moving on to the side of botany. Okay, so now what is plant breeding? You rear a plant. So rear means you grow the plant, allow it to pollinate, be it a self pollination or a cross pollination. So you grow a plant, you allow it to pollinate. So that is what you call it to be a plant breeding. Now what are the various strategies you can follow? High crop yielding and quality. So when you follow this process of plant breeding, usually high crop yield is there and the quality of the plant is also been increased, isn't it? So the quality of the plant, the quantity of the plant, and also the high crop yielding variety. For example, what do I mean by saying the quantity is that the quantity of a fruit it produces. Okay, now next, tolerance to environmental stress. So be it a drought, be it an extreme famine, be it a rainfall, so now these plants has to have the capacity to withstand it, isn't it? So that is the reason why we have tolerance to environmental stress. Then we have resistance to pest and pathogens. So like nearly 6 months before, there was a locust attack in the north side, isn't it? So that shouldn't been happen. So these plants should be highly resistant towards the pest and pathogens. For that purpose, plant breeding is very, very important. Now we'll talk about what are the various steps we have to follow in a plant breeding. So right from the field to the plate. Okay, so what are the various steps we have to follow? First is the collection of genetic variability. So what we have to do is, in this specific process is called as germplasm collection. Germplasm means seed collection. Okay, so seed is called as germplasm collection. So you have to collect the genetic variability. So you can see it, which is a superior quality of seed, which is an inferior quality of seed, which is homozygous dominant, which is homozygous recessive. Because when you see a plant, before collecting the seed, you will know, right? So what is homozygosity? We have studied in principles of inheritance and variation chapter. So that is the collection of genetic variability. Next is evaluation and the selection of parents. So in order to collect the seed, first you have to know the parents, isn't it? So whether the parents are being dominant, or how far these parents were able to pollinate, and what is the structure and the size of the flower they produce, what is the size of the fruit they produce, was it a free sweet or fruit, or what is that? So you have to talk about the evaluation and the selection of parents. The next thing what you have to do is cross hybridization among the selected parents. So what you have to do is, among the selected parents, you have to do a cross hybridization. For example, you take in two important hybrid variety and you do a cross hybridization between them. So you interbreed these species and you tend to become the hybrid. It is not just because you interbreed and you get a hybrid, is that you select a hybrid quality of plant, or a plant which is qualitatively and quantitatively which is higher in function. So that is the kind of plant you have to choose in cross hybridization. Next we'll talk about selection and testing up of the superior recombinants. So superior recombinants, nothing but the hybrids. Okay, now usually these hybrids in the field, they usually undergo self pollination, okay, between the flowers, between the same flower. So they tend to become a homozygous individuals. Okay, meaning to say that they are all pure lines. Pure line, they tend to become the homozygous individuals, the pure lines. So now next what you have to do is testing. You have to test them whether they are disease resistance, pest resistance, and then you have to release them. What you have to do, you can make your own economical name for the crops, be it a wheat variety, be it a rice variety, or be it any variety that produces vegetables and fruits. You can give your own commercial name and you can sell it in the market if at all they are highly suitable for human consumption. So that is what you call it to be testing, release, and the commercialization of new cultivars. You have to compare and contrast. For example, you compare your field's yield and the other field's yield, whether it is highly superior or highly inferior. Only if it is highly superior and it is of a hybrid quality, you can put in your own names and you can have your own commercialized slogans like it is organic, it is disease free, pest free, all those. So you can do all those and you can sell it in the market. Okay, so far in this specific video, what did we study? We studied about beekeeping, we studied about fisheries, we studied about plant breeding and the steps in plant breeding. In next forthcoming videos, we'll talk about plant breeding in detail. If you want to take a screenshot, you're most welcome.